All right, guys, welcome. This is the Placebo Journal Podcast, episode number 2. Vance and I are here together again. This is still a work in progress. Last time I recorded the story of the day. Vance had the great idea that he wants to read it live on video, and so I'm gonna do that with him in a second. First, Vance, how you doing today? You all right?
Good. How's it going,
Pe-
man? It's cold
yeah,
here.
people have been
It's
asking
still
about
cold.
what's with Vance. He's got a hat. He looks like he has no heat in Kansas, or what's up?
Yeah, no, I just am too cheap to turn it up.
Okay, I get it. If people don't know, Vance is in Holton, Kansas. We're through a cold. I'm in Virginia. I'm retired. Vance is not. Um, and so what we'll do is we'll do that. We'll talk about the story afterwards, and we'll go from there. You good with that?
I think that reading it live
Yeah.
gives us the benefit of like the reaction from it. So it's not just like this sterile canned pre-recorded deal. I think it'll
Okay.
and this is the story I think that out of all the true stories I could think of. Whenever you ask me which one, I think let's try with this format with me reading this one because I think
Show the cover.
I don't know if you remember it because this goes back.
Show
All
the.
right, so
This is the cover. I don't wait.
we're gonna be reading
Okay. There you
we're gonna
go.
be reading from the Placebo Journal from this is April issue of 2008.
Okay.
So going back a ways, volume 7, issue 4
All right.
today,
Go
a
ahead.
true story of medicine, and I'll read it and I will try to keep my stuff together. Every time I read this one, I laugh out loud,
Okay.
but that's okay. It won't be perfect. It's not gonna be edited clean like the one from last week.
All right.
And then I want to just see sort of Doug's reaction. And there's so much we can talk about with this true story of medicine.
Gotcha. All right. Here we go.
So all right, here we go. Another true story of medicine. The title is Veterans Healthcare When Only the Best Will Do. I recently underwent an angiogram at the Veterans Hospital in Palo Alto, California. I will not lie to you, the experience was uncomfortable and I had some complications, but the results showed no coronary artery disease. The humor provided by two female student nurses was worth it. I haven't laughed so hard in a while. To prepare for the procedure, the head nurse instructed the two student nurses to shave the area and apply a condom catheter. The two students nodded. They had done this before, so the nurse handed an electric razor to one of them and closed the privacy curtain. For a brief moment, the students argued who should shave me. The taller of the two finally relented and brought the shaver toward my crotch. The area normally shaved is in the pelvic area, where the thigh pivots at the hip. But for some reason, she figured I needed my testicles shaved. The drug I haven't read this in years. I didn't even read it in preparation for this because I wanted it to remember and have the reaction. She drugged the razor across my testicles with a puzzled look, and the other student whispered, "You need to turn it on. It's electric." I just laid back, bit my lip, and watched in amazement. Until the now running razor started making diving passes at my nuts, removing tufts of hair and breaking the skin. I envisioned going to the operating room with toilet paper squares all over my privates. "Hey, take it easy. Those things are tender." She eased up, and in a few minutes, there was a pile of pubic hair on the bed. I looked down at what now looked like two squirrels with mange and road rash. I was really trying to hold back the laughter. That's when she followed the fine shaving job with a thorough disinfecting wipe from an alcohol swab.
Okay.
Holy crap, that burned. But I remained quiet. Watching these two was like watching an episode of Laverne and Shirley. I thought I'd seen it all, but just then she opened the package to the condom catheter. The room was cold as hell, and the head nurse, had remarked they keep it cool to protect the electronic equipment. Unfortunately, the male anatomy likes things warm and will shrink in cold weather, as mine had done. The nurse looked at the condom catheter, then at my willy with a puzzled look. Without hesitation, she reached underneath my nuts and began pumping on the skin of my crotch like she was trying to inflate a Nike Air tennis shoe. I don't know if she had seen this technique on a training video, or porno, or at any rate, she struggled for a minute or two and finally got the condom thingy on. Oh, thank God. I was about to pee myself as I was still holding back my laughter as best I could. I thought everything was done. They'd leave and I could laugh my ass off, but it wasn't to be. This is a quote. Tear me off a couple pieces of tape. How long? The other nurse asked. Oh, about 3 inches. She, too, she tore two pieces of tape, about 7 or 8 inches long, and wrapped them around my willy and taped the loose ends to my to my nearly bald nuts. Fear set in at the thought of having to remove the tape, but I was but it was interrupted by the arrival of the surgical bed. I was wheeled into the operating room. The doctor lifted the sheet to scrub the procedure area. What the hell? He asked. They didn't shave you? Well, they did, but it's a long story. The doctor grabbed a razor and shaved my leg and performed the angiogram. By the time I got back to the room, I really had to pee, but I couldn't go with the condom on and the tape on my nuts. After 2 hours, the nurse allowed me to go to the bathroom. I must have been in there 10 or 15 minutes when I heard my girlfriend knocking at the door. You okay, honey? Yes, I said feebly as the last of the tape was ripped from my inflamed nuts. I glanced down at myself performed I glanced down at my self-performed Brazilian wax, and that's when I lost it. I started peeing, laughing uncontrollably, and looking at the last remaining pubic hairs stuck to the tape I was now holding. It took a full 5 minutes to pee, as every time I started laughing, I couldn't pee anymore. The next day, I had to return to the hospital as there had been some bruising to the procedure area. While I was there, my girlfriend suggested I tell my experience to the head nurse. I started into the story, and the nurse began laughing uncontrollably, finally laying her head down on the desk. She was unable to look up for a minute or so. Finally, she stopped laughing. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. You were such a good sport after so much pain. She began laughing again. What's so funny? I asked. Well, they said they knew what they were doing. They performed the same thing on two men the day before you. We all had a good laugh. The end.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I love the Nike pump analogy. I still I'm still trying to
So
I'm still trying to kind of visualize that. I'm not sure if it excites me or disturbs me as I'm
I
talking
I
about.
I think I think what so if they used a condom catheter, it's not something they use that often. I guess they I mean, do they even catheterize most patients anymore for a heart cath?
I don't know about that.
They put a cath. I don't know if they do that very often anymore. But anyway, the condom catheter is probably less invasive and less infection and stuff. But this guy's had shrinkage, so this nursing student is is trying to figure out how to get, expose the penis to put a condom catheter on.
I
And
mean,
she thinks she can inflate it or something. I don't know.
I mean, I guess she
There's
could.
so much.
There's other things she could have done, but that would have been more appropriate
Yeah.
if he had better insurance. Maybe they
So
would have.
that there's so many things about this one that makes me laugh. I think the first thing that we should talk about this true story medicine is this. This is a story written by from the patient's perspective.
Right,
Usually, our true stories of medicine are sent in by doctors or nurses or
right,
something.
right,
This one is sent in by, well, we don't know because that I
right.
read everything that's in the article, so we don't know if this is written by a doctor, maybe a nurse, maybe we had readers who were like what, like drug reps and stuff. It could be,
We had
it's,
thousands and thousands of readers. So yeah,
I mean, it's
and
probably
people.
somebody in the medical field,
Right.
but you don't know. But the thing is, this guy knows. I mean, you're basically just shaving the top of the leg,
Yeah, it
right?
takes
Kind of
about
right at
30
the in
seconds
the
yeah,
groin.
yeah,
Yeah, a small little
yeah,
area.
yeah.
And these nurses basically use an electric razor to shave this guy's scrotum, which is just hilarious in general.
Right, right.
But what to me is the best about this, there's so much to talk about this story, but to me the best one is that he just let him do it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
they're messing him up. Like he's so what's the name? What's the name of the guy that did the graphic design for the Placebo
Oh,
Journal? Gordon.
Gordon Marshall. Yeah,
So Gordon did. This is the story. He did like the little, like the little bloody like pieces of toilet
right,
paper,
right.
you know, and the point is like they were cutting him. He was bleeding and stuff, and he
Yeah,
let it. That's what I love about whoever this guy is. If you're out there watching, you got my my admiration because you allowed all this to happen in the name of comedy. I mean, he could have said, "That's not what you're supposed to do. Go get the nurse; she'll show you," or "It's this area," or whatever. He just let it happen because, like you said, it's like Laverne and Shirley, right? You're just watching this go from
Right, right,
bad to worse,
right.
and he is enduring pain, bleeding, and then they go and put alcohol on the on the
Dude,
open sores
seriously,
that
you
they
get
just
some. You can get
created.
seriously infected there too.
Yes, and he lets him put alcohol on it, and like it's burning.
Yeah.
This is hilarious, and he's doing it because it's funny despite his pain. So it's like whenever I put on a speedo to be on the back cover of the journal doing the physician's fitness or
Right, right,
whatever.
right,
Like like you're taking one for the team here
right.
because it's if it makes people laugh, it's worth going through it. So that's one thing I was thinking with this guy is that hats off to the sense of humor that he has being this patient with these two nursing students and letting him basically just butcher
Um,
his pubic hair with an electric razor and all
it
that.
reminds me whatever it takes to do it for a laugh when you and I went to the American Academy of Family Practice Scientific Assembly, their massive conference. It was in October, and all decided to dress with fake mustaches and full Lederhosen outfit,
And,
and just
and Lederhosen, man.
walked around, took pictures, and had your buddy, an Asian guy in Lederhosen outfit.
Yeah,
He's not even a
and
doctor. We
he had
stuck
a
him
name
in.
tag that said like Hans or Jurgen or
Right,
something.
right, yeah, and I'll try to show those pictures. Maybe I'll put them in.
To me, the funniest thing about doing the the scientific assembly, they call it FMX now in Lederhosen,
Yeah,
was that we acted totally normal. That was the
correct.
funniest part of it.
You never want to
Because
leave character.
if you're yeah, yeah. If you're dressed funny and it's like, yeah, hey, look at me, I'm funny, I'm in Lederhosen, but we were just like acting like
I,
we were just sitting on the front row taking notes.
we were walking around.
Just oh,
People like look at us like we were looking back. But dude, what's wrong with you? We're just this is our outfits. Leader. I mean, these are all.
yeah, we're just here to learn,
Yeah, and it was
What?
October, dude. It's October. It's Lederhosen time. It's freezing. I think it was. I don't know where
That's
it
right.
was, but whatever it
It was
takes.
in Boston.
Yeah, I think it was. Whatever it takes to get a
I think
laugh.
it was in Boston that year.
Um,
So the next thing about this story, he's just letting this happen because he's thinking, this is going to make a great story, so I'm going to let this play out. Um, I I don't know if he is a think about it, this guy's a doctor or in the medical field and he knows they're doing all this stuff wrong and he's letting them do it wrong. That's just again, that's just patience. It's like, a mechanic has a new trainee and they're trying to change a tire with a curling iron or something. I'm just gonna stand and watch this and see what happens.
you wonder,
I
would
thought that
you
was
do? I
great.
mean, seriously, as a physician, would you let someone start scraping at your balls?
I think I would. I think I'm like him. I would have been like, I want to see
See
I
where
want to
this
see where
goes,
this goes.
because
I'm like, I gotta let this play out.
this could end in a happy ending. You don't know where this is going.
Who knows what's happening here? But it's just too funny not to just let it ride. The other thing, there's two other parts. One is the old nurse in the story. I thought is worth talking about. That
Yeah.
he comes to the end and she laughs so hard that she can't talk for 2 minutes, and then she apologizes and says that they did the same thing on two other guys the day before. So like they still didn't know what they were doing. They did this three times. I think there's a discussion to be had about. I guess this is true for everybody and probably every line of work. But like once you've been at it for a long time,
Right.
you get a more of a jaded sort of sense of humor, and so like compare the old nurse to the young nurse.
Right.
The old nurse who just you know, gets it and has seen everything and just thinks this is that much funnier. I don't know.
Just the fact that there's
Everybody
two
knows that
clueless
old
nurses,
nurse.
there's two clueless nurses, nursing students or whatever, walking around. They don't even know how to turn it on. First of all, they don't. They forget to.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to use an electric razor and they haven't even turned it on.
I mean, and they're doing it on multiple patients, like they know what they're doing. I mean, this is the moron squad. What does that say about the VA, by the way? I don't know if that means
That's the
anything.
last thing is the VA, which is I assume why you gave this story the name Veterans Healthcare. What normally the best will do, but I don't think it's this particular story is actually not a statement against the VA as much as it is just it's just a funny story of very very untrained nursing students. But yeah, no, I mean the VA. Did you use some time in the VA in your training?
I did not. No,
Oh, really?
no.
I did. I did a see an 8 week, at least 4 weeks of my internal medicine rotation was at the VA, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It wasn't all bad care, and I think some VAs are better than others. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of controversy about VAs with waiting lists that are a mile long, and people are dying on waiting lists there and stuff like that. Um, I think they get a short. Uh, they sort of get the short end of the stick sometimes with regard to personnel. I think their personnel, the ones I saw, are pretty good. They have a lot of foreign medical grad attendings there because that I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think it has to do with the way a visa goes through. Like
Okay.
a lot of doctors that train in other countries and they want to move to the United States, but in order to get the visa to go, however that works, they have to do so many years working in either a VA or underserved area or something like that. And so there's a lot of foreign medical grads, and that was the case where I did my training.
All
Well,
right.
that whole thing points out the whole window into people's lives that most people don't get to see that doctors do. And you know, just whether it's there's nothing that won't surprise. There's something that'll surprise us every time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
we've got some other stories I'm sure that we'll share over the
Yeah.
years, or over the episodes of this. But um, what happens in people's homes and the stuff they do is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, listen. A lot of times, what we had a, it, I made a rule with the Placebo Journal with stories that no one really, it wasn't to totally, it wasn't to make fun of the patient. We didn't put any of those stories or mocking patients for any certain ethnic, sex, gender, whatever. Those weren't done. And no one ever got hurt. We didn't do anything where people got hurt. So we weren't. But
Right.
there was just stories to for us to. This is what doctors talk about. Just because, hey, listen, it's a tough job. You have to you have to have some dark humor to laugh at this thing. And listen, we made fun of big pharma more than anything. We made fun of
Oh yeah.
uh, administrators, hospitals in general, drug reps, everything we could make fun. Insurance companies, we did great parody ads to make fun of everything else. We just threw these true stories in as a way for the journal was made to sit on the bowl and read. Unfortunately, probably not going to do with this podcast, but that's what it was for. And I think it really accomplished that. And I think some of these stories we'll be reading. Hopefully, people will get a laugh at, and we'll just go from there.
There's a there's a quote. I did a talk years ago for the Kansas Academy of Family Physicians on medical humor and laughter, the healing through laughter in medicine. It was called Healing for Doctors and Patients. And there's a quote that I found, and what you just said reminded me of it. So I just brought it up on my computer. It's a quote regarding the nature of medical humor. This was written by a nurse named Vera Robinson, RN, from a book she wrote called Humor and the Health Professions. And I think it summarizes what you just were kind of talking about. The quote is this: "If medical humor is often raunchy, sensual, scatological, aggressive, macabre, black, or gross, that is simply because in medicine we are dealing with illness, naked bodies, blood, guts, excrement, trauma, and death." So pretty pretty straightforward. I
Yeah,
mean, it makes a lot of sense. I
right.
mean, you. What else are we going to joke about? Like this
Well,
is.
well, it's not even joke about it. You have to vent because the bottom line is you'll see some things that are just terrible. If you're not able to vent with your colleagues, and now we're venting years later on this podcast, but if you're not able to express yourself,
Mhm,
you then just kind of bury it down, and that either makes that really thick-skinned but impersonal doctor who is just imploding from PTSD, all the stuff he saw or she saw, or
mhm.
they
Yeah.
it's a therapy session. Again, this is all a therapy session. At least it was for me. The journal was a therapy session, and that's why became so
Oh
popular
yeah.
from 2001 to 2011. So, all right, let's end this here. Let's
Sounds good.
we'll regroup and think of some more stuff, and we'll go from there, my man.
Find something to share next week.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, take
Yep.
care.